Right now, on a clean install of Windows 11 version 24H2, your machine is sending data back to Microsoft before you've even opened your first app. And in 2026, that pipeline got wider, not narrower. I'm not talking about the basic crash reports every operating system sends. I'm talking about keystroke patterns, app interaction timing, browsing telemetry, and with the latest Copilot Plus rollout, screenshots of your screen taken at regular intervals and processed by an on-device AI model that, as security researchers have already demonstrated, does not stay on device the way the marketing claims. If you upgraded from Windows 10 in the last 6 months thinking you'd get a quieter, more polished system, I have to tell you, you got the opposite. Let me show you exactly what's leaving your computer, why Microsoft accelerated this in 2026 specifically, and the 4 layers I now put on every machine I touch. Let me show you exactly what's being collected, because the word telemetry has been doing a lot of heavy lifting to make this sound boring. Telemetry is just a polite engineering term for data. Your computer sends to its manufacturer without you watching. On Windows 11 today, that includes diagnostic data tied to your device ID, app usage frequency and duration, inking and typing data. If you haven't disabled it, location pings tied to nearby Wi-Fi networks, advertising ID for cross-app profiling, and a category Microsoft calls required diagnostic data, which you cannot turn off. That last part is important. Even when you slide every privacy toggle to its most restrictive setting in the Settings app, a baseline pipeline keeps running. Microsoft's own documentation confirms this. They just describe it in language designed to make you stop reading. Then there's recall. If you bought a Copilot Plus PC in the last year, the ones with the dedicated NPU chips, Recall takes a screenshot of your screen every few seconds, runs optical character recognition on it, and stores a searchable timeline of everything you've done. Microsoft delayed it twice after the initial backlash, then reintroduced it in 2025 with new framing about local encryption and opt-in defaults. Kevin Beaumont, a security researcher who has tracked recall since the original announcement, demonstrated that the database storing those screenshots was accessible by tools running under your own user account. Translation: any malware that gets in as you gets your entire visual history, not just your recent files, your banking sessions, your password manager interactions, your private messages, all indexed, all searchable, sitting in a single SQLite database with a known schema. Independent testing throughout 2025 by the Electronic Frontier Foundation flagged the same structural problem. The consent-based privacy design fails the moment a single piece of software with elevated permissions decides to ignore the consent. The UK Information Commissioner's Office opened inquiries into Recall before its relaunch and continued monitoring after. The German Federal Office for Information Security, the BSI, has published guidance for government agencies that explicitly recommends disabling recall on most Copilot integrations on managed devices. When a national cybersecurity agency tells its own government not to use a feature, that is not a fringe opinion, that is a verdict. Now think about what this actually means for you, sitting at your desk. What you're typing, what you're browsing, what you're spending. Those used to be 3 separate streams of data that required 3 separate compromises to expose. Today, on default Windows 11 install with Copilot enabled, they are one stream, one database, one pipeline. And here's what really bothers me about this. None of it is presented to you as the trade-off it actually is. You see a friendly setup wizard with cheerful blue checkmarks, and you click through it the way you click through every setup wizard, because life is short and you have it. By the time you realize what you agreed to, the data has already started flowing. So here's the question that nobody at Microsoft wants answered about. Why now? Why this aggressive? And why all at once? The honest answer has nothing to do with security and everything to do with the company's pivot to artificial intelligence as its core revenue story. Copilot needs training data. Copilot needs context about how real humans use real software in real workflows. And the cheapest, fastest, most legally defensible source of that data is the operating system that already sits on roughly 1.4 billion devices worldwide. Microsoft did not build Recall because users were begging for a screenshot search feature. They built it because the AI division needed a moat, and the moat is your behavioral data. Look at the corporate moves stacked end to end. Windows 10 hit end of support in October 2025. Tens of millions of perfectly functional machines were pushed toward either Windows 11 or expensive extended security updates. The hardware requirements for Windows 11, the TPM 2.0 chip, the supported CPU list, increasingly strict NPU requirements, the Copilot Plus features, all of these create what looks like a security story but functions as a forced migration path. Older machines drop off, new machines come in preloaded with the full telemetry stack. Account creation now strongly pushes you toward a Microsoft account by default. The local account option buried behind workarounds that Microsoft has quietly closed in successive updates. They tell you it's for security. The data tells a different story. This is the part where I have to be careful, because I'm not interested in conspiracy theories. I'm interested in incentives, and the incentive structure is plain. Microsoft makes more money when more of your activity is legible to Microsoft. That is not a moral judgment. It is a business model. The problem is when the business model is dressed up as a feature you asked for. It's like a landlord installing cameras in every room of your apartment, calling it a smart home upgrade. The cameras might be encrypted, the footage might be local, but you didn't ask for cameras, and you can't easily take them down, and the lease keeps getting longer. When I first mapped all of this out for myself last year, I went through a few stages. Confusion, frustration, and a kind of cold clarity. If you felt that something has been off about modern Windows, that it nags more, watches more, suggests more, sells more, you're not imagining it. The product isn't Windows. You are. Microsoft sells the operating system once. They monetize the telemetry, the ad surfaces, the cloud upsells, and the AI training pipeline every single day after that. Once you see the model, you can't unsee it. And the only useful question becomes, what do I actually do about this? Alright, enough of the bad news. Let me walk you through exactly what I do on every Windows 11 machine I touch, in the order I do it. This is a 4-layer stack, and each layer addresses a different part of the pipeline we just walked through. Total cost, $0. Total setup time, around 15 to 20 minutes. You don't need to be technical. You need to be willing to click through some menus that Microsoft would prefer you ignore. The first layer is the Settings app itself, and I know what you're thinking. Those toggles don't really do anything. They do something. They just don't do enough. Press Windows plus I to open Settings, then go to Privacy and Security. You're going to walk through every subsection: General, Speech, Inking, and Typing, Diagnostics and Feedback, Activity History, Search Permissions, App Permissions, and turn off everything that isn't essential to your actual workflow. Pay special attention to Diagnostics and Feedback, where you'll set diagnostic data to the minimum option and turn off tailored experiences. Under Recall and Snapshots, which now appears on Copilot Plus, PCs, disable it entirely if you don't actively use it. This layer alone closes the easy data taps. It does not stop the required telemetry, but it stops you from volunteering more on top of it. The second layer is what closes those required taps as much as the operating system allows. And for that, I use a tool called O&O Shutup 10++. It's free, it's been maintained for years, and it gives you a single interface to flip dozens of settings that are otherwise scattered across the registry, group policy, and hidden menus. Download it from the official O&O software site, run it without installing. It's a portable executable, and use the Apply Only Recommended Settings option if you want a safe baseline. If you're more comfortable, switch to Apply All Recommended and Somewhat Recommended settings for tighter lockdown. Create a system restore point first, which the tool will offer to do for you. This handles things you genuinely cannot reach through the Settings app, including several telemetry endpoints that Microsoft routes around the standard privacy controls. The third layer is your network. Once you've turned off what you can on the device, you need to assume some data is still trying to leave, and you handle that at the boundary. The simplest approach for most people is to change your DNS resolver to one that blocks known telemetry endpoints. NextDNS offers a free tier that lets you enable Microsoft telemetry block lists with a single toggle in their dashboard. You point your computer's DNS settings at their servers, and from that moment forward, any attempt your machine makes to phone home to a known telemetry domain gets quietly dropped before it leaves your network. You can see the logs in real time, which is genuinely eye-opening the first time you watch it. This is also where a privacy-respecting browser comes in, Firefox with strict tracking protection, and Brave if you prefer Chromium under the hood. Edge by default is part of the data pipeline we just spent 20 minutes describing. Replace it. The fourth layer is the one most people skip, and it's the most important. It's account hygiene. If you signed into Windows 11, with a Microsoft account, your operating system telemetry is tied to your identity, not just your device. Convert to a local account if your workflow allows it. Open Settings, go to Accounts, then your info, and look for Sign In with a local account instead. The option still exists in 2026, though Microsoft has made it progressively harder to find on the initial setup. If you need a Microsoft account for OneDrive or Office, create a separate one used only for those services, and keep your operating system login local. This single change breaks the link between everything Windows collects and the broader profile Microsoft maintains about you across their services. Those 4 layers, settings hardening, Shutup 10++ for the deeper toggles, network level DNS blocking, and a local account, work together in a way that no single layer does alone. Think of them like gates at a castle. 1 gate is a suggestion, 4 gates is a defense. The total real-world value of these tools, if you tried to buy commercial equivalents, would run you somewhere between $60 and $120 a year. You're getting it for free because the privacy community has been building these tools for over a decade, and they're better than the paid alternatives most of the time. A few honest caveats before we close this out. if you're on an enterprise-managed device, meaning your IT department controls your machine, do not run Shutup 10++ or change DNS settings without permission. You'll break compliance tooling and probably get a phone call. If you depend on specific Microsoft 365 features, OneDrive Sync, or Teams integrations, some of these changes will require you to leave certain telemetry pathways open. That's a trade-off only you can make. And to be very clear, none of what I just described touches Windows Defender, Smart Screen, or your core security posture. Keep all of that enabled. This is about privacy and data collection, not about removing the protections that genuinely keep malware off your machine. Don't confuse the two. People online telling you to disable Defender to feel more private, giving you bad advice. Here's what I want you to take away from all of this. Beyond the settings and the tools and the checklists, the default state of modern computing is one where the device works for the company that made it before it works for you. That is not a law of nature. That is a choice, their choice, and you get to make a difference. Your machine, your terms, not Microsoft's. Not because Microsoft is uniquely evil, but because you are the one paying for the hardware, the electricity, and the time you spend on the server. You are the admin of your own computer. Not a guest, not a user. The admin. If you felt for a while that something was wrong with how this all works, you weren't paranoid. You were paying attention. There are millions of people right now making the same quiet decisions. Turning off the toggles, replacing the browser, blocking the endpoints, choosing local accounts, looking sideways at Linux, and asking whether 2026 might be the year they finally make the jump. You don't have to accept the default. You never did. This investigation took weeks of testing across multiple machines, multiple Windows builds, and a lot of network logging to pin down what's actually flowing away. If this is the kind of breakdown you want more of, being sponsored, ad-free, no affiliate pressure kind, subscribe and tell me in the comments what you want investigated next. I rate everyone. And the next time Microsoft ships a feature wrapped in friendly blue check marks, we'll go through it together before the rest of the 10+